Hello, everybody.
Howdy.
It's been a few days.
Has it?
Yeah.
Did you miss me when I was off on my hunting trip?
You were gone? Yes, dear, I missed you while you were gone.
Gee, I feel love.
Did you have fun traipsing in the woods with
Yes.
all the other guys?
Yes, we did.
Chasing the poor innocent squirrels?
Mm-hmm. At one point, they even put a raid on the camp we were in. Yeah.
Good for the squirrels. Oh my goodness. You guys may be wondering why we named it Watchtower's Diaper Rash.
That's right. Let's keep in mind, friends, for some of us that have been disfellowshipped, that secret elder's handbook has been used against some of us, like you and I, remember? See, the secret elder's handbook states that the brothers doing the investigating are not to be used on the judicial hearing. But guess what they did in our case? You guessed it. The elder, one of the elders that did the investigation, also sat in on the judicial hearing. You know, the one that we didn't attend. The problem is that Watchtower doesn't care whether we whine and cry about getting disfellowship. Watchtower doesn't care whether they separate us from their families. All they want is follow the book. Follow the book. The book they don't follow.
Exactly. Now, I want to mention that I know some XJWs who are being named that Watchtower, says, oh, hate speech against our organization, hate speech, hate speech. I just want to remind everybody, and especially you Jehovah's Witnesses who are watching our YouTube videos, I just want to remind you, how many times have they attacked others? I mean, clear back to Russell's day. Russell would have debates, debate, pastors, ministers.
Right.
How many times did they have hate speech against ministers, other organizations? And look at Rutherford. Oh my God, that guy was notorious for, attacking everybody. He even had cartoons in the magazines back in that day. It was pre-Awake, but it was the Consolation and the Golden Age. How many cartoons? And if you guys don't believe me, just put in Rutherford cartoons. And I mean, he was always bashing people, the bankers, the Jews, big business, all of those, Hitler, all of them, the Catholic Church, all these other organizations. But see, the thing is when you put all of this negativity into the universe, eventually it comes back to you.
You know what they call that?
Karma.
Karma's a bitch.
Yeah.
That's right, Watchtower.
Exactly. I just want to remind everybody and Watchtower, how many times in your literature, in your talks, in your conventions, have you talked about the mentally diseased apostates with their half-truths and lies? How many times have you bashed all of us?
That's right.
How much hate speech have you put out against all of us?
See, friends, what we have here is a failure for Watchtower to communicate. and make no mistake about it, Watchtower, us mentally diseased apostates, well, we did the communicating for you.
Exactly.
What do we got, dear?
Well, I want to thank the source so much, and they sent me a link, and now I'm going to put the link down below in the description and at the top of the comments. But there is a link here to 2 pages of documents. Now, there's only one document on the second page, but be sure you get that one too. But there's 2 pages of documents here that have been going back and forth ever since the UK Commission ended against the Jehovah's Witnesses. And this is why we did the title, because Watchtower and Paul Gillies, wham, 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 what a bunch of whiny babies. Oh, good Lord. You know, just...
This is good to see. It
Yeah.
really is.
So this is why we are going to mock this. And the reason is because, you know, they've separated us from our families. And look at the horrible things they have said about all of us. Oh, when you leave Jehovah's organization, you become a drug addict or a drunk or, you know, an immoral person.
But that's nothing more than a reflection of what's already inside of Watchtower. I mean, come on, Watchtower. It's real easy to see that, or to say that, when you're getting reports sent back to you from your elders as to why people are being disfellowshipped. Well, they're being disfellowshipped for drug addiction, they're being disfellowshipped for immorality, they're being disfellowshipped for apostasy. All you're doing when you say that, you knuckleheads, is you're just describing what's already inside your organization and flowering.
Well, you know, the thing is I just got an email yesterday of someone telling me about the fraud that Jehovah's Witnesses were committing against his poor mom that has dementia. Now, I hate to say this, and I'm really sad this happens, you know, and I'm really sorry for the family. But if you guys knew how many of those type of emails I got, it's a very common thing.
Yep.
I mean, I wish I had $1 for every one of those type of emails I got. It's like, my God, no wonder they're getting so much property, because they're taking advantage of these poor elderly JWs who are starting to get dementia. And guess what? They go in and they have them sign papers to give them power of attorney. And then they go in and wipe out their bank accounts.
That's right.
I know of several cases that are going on right now with that happening. And it usually involves the elders. And that's why, you know, we've mentioned in videos in the past, be careful. You know, warn your elderly JW parents not to sign anything the elders bring over, because they sneak it in with other stuff. See, and the witnesses are told to trust their elders implicitly, no matter what. Well, guess what? They'll sign anything. Even the elders will sign anything Watchtower hands them, and guess what? They end up committing fraud.
Yep.
But I can't mention that because it's an ongoing. So I have a letter here. Now this is in these documents. And like I said, grab all of these documents and send the link to your JW family, because this is not an apostate website. This is the UK Commission's official website with the documents. They have put these documents online.
But the government website is Satan's website.
Yeah. But it's from the Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. And I'm not going to read all of it because it's 4 pages. So you can go read it. But it's to Professor J. This is an important letter. As you are aware, the procedure that has been adopted during the course of this inquiry is that the matters and documents about which a witness may be questioned are confined to those included in the evidence bundle prepared by the inquiry. They go on to talk about the procedures and how this is supposed to go on.
In other words, Watchtower's whining and crying that they haven't been treated fairly. You mean like inviting a couple to their judicial hearing and the evidence will be provided when you get in front of the 3 elders? You mean you can't look at the evidence before your judicial hearing, Watchtower? It's the same bullshit.
You mean ambushed? Like we were going to be ambushed if we showed up at our judicial hearing? We didn't have the evidence ahead of time.
We couldn't argue anything or prepare an argument because we were going to be shown the evidence when we get to our trial. Yeah, karma's a bitch, isn't it, Watchtower?
What goes around comes around. Paragraph 2 of this letter. For the part of the inquiry directed to Jehovah's Witnesses, the inquirer produced an evidence bundle comprising 2 lever arch files. The evidence bundle, and it took live evidence on 10 and 11 August of 2020. At the conclusion of the live stream video testimony of Mr. Paul Gillies on 11 August 2020, panel member Mr. Ivor Frank proceeded to ask Mr. Gillies a series of questions on a records management seminar that was said to have occurred in 2017. Now we all know that. We have the clip from that and the video they were talking about.
That's right.
In his questions, Mr. Frank alleged that at the 2017 seminar, elders in England were counseled to get rid of documents, and that the reason for getting rid of documents was because Satan was coming after you, Satan in the form of a legal process.
The irony of all of this.
None of this is touched upon in any of the documents in the evidence bundle, nor was there any forewarning of this line of questions.
You mean like there was no forewarning for any judicial hearing for the people to see the evidence against them, Watchtower?
Yeah.
You see, you guys practice the same thing in your little kingdom halls. You practice the same thing. How dare you whine and cry about this, you bunch of monkeys?
On any analysis embedded in the questions were very serious allegations against both Mr. Gillies and Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, I just want to remind everybody that in their judicial hearings, us accused are not allowed to have any lawyer help. We're not allowed to have any defense team. So this is why we're just going to mock their hypocrisy.
That's right.
I mean, good Lord, the hypocrisy is just unbelievable. And they're so stupid to think that none of us are going to say anything about this and just let them, whine and cry to the UK Commission?
You know what this rivals? The Democratic Party right now about whining and crying about Trump being able to select another justice. You can't do that until after the election. You can't. It's the same bullshit game across the board, whether it's in politics or whether it's in religion.
But you have to remember that the same thing happened to Obama.
That's right.
And they were trying to tell him. And then several from both parties came in and says, no, he is the president. That is his constitutional right.
Exactly.
But they're kind of forgetting that right now.
Yeah, aren't they? Yeah. Watchtowers put so much bad karma out there that they kind of forgot about something here.
Yeah. But see, this is the point we're trying to bring out, is the hypocrisy.
Yep.
They say one thing and do one thing here, but yet when it's against them, then it's a different story.
Oh, you're not being justice. There is no justice when you're dealing with the head of the snake.
Yeah. Okay, now back to the letter. When making these very serious allegations, Mr. Frank repeatedly consulted and read from a printed text. Furthermore, in that live stream video questioning, Mr. Frank referred twice to a gentleman named Sean Bartlett as the person that he had alleged had advised elders to destroy the records. And then they quote where it is in the transcript, okay? There's a very prejudicial implication of Mr. Frank's grave allegation, certainly as understood by anyone viewing the live stream video transmission. The Britain branch office of Jehovah's Witnesses had been counseled to destroy records pertaining to allegations of child sex abuse. In effect, Mr. Frank implied that Mr. Bartlett had counseled a criminal offense, and that the Britain branch office was complicit in that offense. Mr. Frank was well aware that his allegation was being live streamed to an indeterminate audience of people in England and Wales and indeed worldwide. Yes, it was.
Oh, yeah, you damn right it was.
The video recording of that live streamed allegation is now accessible to anyone in any country in the world via the internet. Yes, it is. That false allegation has and will continue to be given wide broadcast given the very important and significant issues before the inquiry. Mr. Frank's allegation is also summarized in Twitter posts published by the Inquirer on its official Twitter feed. Wham, wham, wham. Okay, neither Mr. Gillies nor the CCJW Britain were given any advance notice by the inquiry or by Mr. Frank that this very serious allegation would be raised. We assume that the inquiry also did not give notice to Sean Bartlett that a panel member would imply during a live stream video broadcast that would be accessible to anyone anywhere in the world and for repeated viewings that Mr. Bartlett had committed or counseled a criminal offense.
That's what you call, Watchtower, getting caught with your hand in a cookie jar.
So isn't this kind of like a judicial hearing? You just show up and you see what you're being accused of.
Exactly.
Page 2, fourth paragraph. Regrettably, Mr. Frank chose to ambush Mr. Gillies with this grave and far-reaching allegation of a criminal offense, knowing that without advance notice, Mr. Gillies may not be in a position to provide accurate information to the inquiry in response to Mr. Frank's allegation. Translation, he didn't have time to make up a lie about this.
Yeah. Or like how your judicial hearings tried to ambush Kim and I by not letting us know in advance what our charges were, other than just apostasy, the very grievous sin of apostasy.
With no evidence.
With no evidence. You see, Watchtower, I love mocking you guys because your stupidity is right at the forefront. Because you gotta remember, guys, remember this, friends, it was ex-members that helped these people on the commission with the information that they were trying to grill Gillies with, because it was that secretly leaked video telling elders to destroy information because Satan's legal system was coming after them.
Back to the letter. The fact that no advance notice whatsoever was given of the allegation. Been there, done that, Watchtower, at your elder's hands. And the manner in which Mr. Frank made his allegation strongly suggests or leaves the impression that Mr. Frank's live stream video allegation was designed for public consumption to humiliate Mr. Gillies, Mr. Bartlett, the Bread and Branch Office, and elders of Jehovah's Witnesses by implying that each of them has committed a very serious crime.
It's not an allegation when you have it on film, when it's been recorded. It's not an allegation, it's a fact. It's not even alleged a fact. The words are coming right out of the mouth of the people that put that little show on that got leaked, Watchtower. You guys screwed up, and now you're crying like a bunch of babies with diaper rash.
Yeah. So they go on to basically saying they were ambushed, and they would like to know, with any and all supporting documents or other information, how did Mr. Frank and or inquirer obtain the information that Mr. Frank relied on to make his allegation?
Hey, I know where it came from. Hey, Watchtower, how do you like us now?
Please provide us with a copy of the information received and or consulted by Mr. Frank. If an internet resource, please provide us with the date and time when Mr. Frank first assessed that resource. Oh yeah.
Oh, the irony. I mean, this is equivalent to like taking one of those little jacks in a box. Pop goes the weasel.
Yeah.
And there's a count in a box.
Yep. So it says, did Mr. Frank first locate the information entirely on his own? All he had to do was do an internet search. That video was plastered all over the internet. Everywhere. In articles, on YouTube videos, blogs, you name it, forums. It was everywhere.
Well, with a little guiding help. Just a little guiding help from anybody and everybody, Watchtower. See, this is what happens when you destroy lives, when you rip apart families, Watchtower. This is what happens.
Yeah.
See, there is no protection from Jehovah
Yeah. Now it's interesting because on page 3 they actually mention some XJW activists by name. And they also refer to a post that an XJW made. And some of this, it was like, Gillies, you are caught. Now, I remember that tweet because, a lot of people sent me that tweet.
That's right.
I thought the tweet personally was a little, I'm all for mocking and stuff, but, when you're right in the heat of this and part of this, maybe you want to tone it down a little bit if you're actually affiliated with, the inquiry. Because, just wait a little bit before you start gloating, So, anyway, but the thing is this letter is just wham, 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 a bunch of whiny babies. And there is a document, it is the 2020-08-14 LTR-IICSA to CCJW. Yes, the UK Commission responded to this letter. And it's another long one, so I'm just going to hit a couple of highlights. You guys will have much more fun if you go read these entire documents yourself. It is correct to say that at the conclusion of Mr. Gillies' evidence, this is on page, the first page, in the case of PR-A5, from whom the inquirer heard on August 10th, 2020, in which Mr. Gillies stated that prior to 31 August 1990, there are no filed documents in existence showing Peter Stewart had either been appointed or deleted as a ministerial servant at any congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. Conscious of the inquirer's previous correspondence with the CCJW on the question of document retention and the reassurances that the CCJW had given in relation to preservation of documentation, Mr. Frank undertook his own internet research outside the hearing. In doing so, he came across an article in the Philadelphia Inquirer entitled, "Watch, Jehovah's Witness official says to destroy documents because Satan is coming after us." So this Mr. Frank took it on himself to go internet searching. And you don't have to search for very long.
No.
The letter goes on. No one brought this article to Mr. Frank's attention. He found it through his own background research of open sources available to everyone. He did not discuss it with the inquiry's legal team, his fellow panel members, or anyone else. The inquirer does not have a copy of the video recording of the seminar in question. They do now.
They do now. That's right.
Though following Mr. Frank's question, it has sought to identify whether and in what respects the recording to which he referred is publicly available. The entire video is available.
There again, a special thanks to those of you that are leaking this stuff to us.
Yes, and thank you so much for the source that sent me and said Watchtower is under fire and it's backfiring on them.
Yep.
Yeah, because when you start reading these documents, it's like, how do they get out of this? Because it's out there. It's out there. The inquirer accepts that Mr. Gillies was given no prior notice of this particular question topic and apologizes that its usual process has failed in this respect. Well, UK Commission, they never give any of us any advance notice for our judicial hearings. We just get the certified letter, and when you ask what the accusation is and any evidence, you're told that you will find out at your meeting. So, you know what? What goes around comes around.
And the very fact that they used an investigative elder on the judicial hearing, we never got an apology for that. See, they violate their own rules when it suits them.
Yeah. Going on with the letter, Mr. Frank is entitled to ask a witness questions. He is, however, sorry to hear that the question came as a surprise to Mr. Gillies and apologizes for this.
But the damage is done. The whole world sees this. destroy evidence regarding child sexual abuse. You know what? I wonder which one of these guys are going to Epstein themselves first.
Well, I just wonder who's going to be the next
Sacrifice?
martyr.
Yeah.
Huh, Smurf girl? Okay, now, in this document here, it is 2020-09-21 CPIROS Notice, Determination, Recusal, Application. It just gives a little bit of background, like on page 1. Background, number 4. Mr. Gillies gave oral evidence to the inquirer on 10 and 11 August 2020. On 11 August 2020, at the conclusion of counsel to the inquirer's questioning, I asked my fellow panel members whether they wished to ask Mr. Gillies any questions. I set out below the full transcript of Mr. Frank's questioning of Mr. Gillies. Now he goes on to question Mr. Gillies, and we all seen the clip.
Right.
He's asking him about who was in charge of the records management. And Gillies, really didn't know. Here on page 2, Mr. Frank says, do you know of someone who holds that position? And Gillies says, are you talking about the world headquarters? Mr. Frank says, whether it's the world headquarters or anyone else, do you know of anyone who occupies the post of records manager overseer? Well, then he goes on, answer. Well, we have records management guidelines and each department will oversee its records management. Mr. Frank says, do you know a person called Sean Bartlett as records management overseer? Gillies says, yes, I do. Mr. Frank, did he come to give a seminar to elders in England in 2017? Gillies answers, yes, he did. Mr. Frank, did you attend that? Gillies says, I think I did. I can't recall it specifically.
I think I did? I think he's starting to see what's happening.
Yeah.
that pitchfork's getting ready to be rammed up of every private place.
Okay, Mr. Frank, you might recall it if you remember the content of the seminar. Can you remember what the purpose of the seminar was? Now remember, he just says, I think I was there, but I don't recall it specifically, or I can't recall it specifically, okay? That's what he says. Now this is what he answers. To help us make sure that our record keeping was up to date with legislation and that we weren't keeping unnecessary documents. So he knew exactly what seminar he was talking about.
Exactly.
Mr. Frank, not keeping unnecessary documents. Do you mean that he advised you to get rid of some of these documents? Gillies, well, of course, at that time and even now, we have data protection manners. So we have to make sure that documents adhere to data protection issues. So yes, he would have advised along those lines. So see, he just admitted that yes, they do destroy documents. Yep. So Watchtower, you can whine and cry all you want to the UK Commission, but Gillies, answered the question, and it's in the legal transcript now. And it goes on to say, Mr. Frank, ask him, my next question is, do you have a data retention policy that you have published? Answer, we have a data retention policy. Have we published it? I don't know. So, you can read this whole thing, and like I said, for your own entertainment, I'd suggest going and getting all of these documents and reading them. They are public records. This is on their website. I will put the link down below.
And the thing is if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're going to fall back on the old cliche, well, these are apostate-generated lies, then you're calling Mr. Gillies an apostate.
Yeah.
You see, you're calling him an apostate.
Now, when you go to the website, you're going to see library at the top. Well, then they have, just file names. Like the first one is 2020-08-28 LTR CCJW to IICSA. Right below that, you will see view and download. So you can either just look at it, and if you want to download it, click on download, and you can download it to your device or computer or whatever. And like I said, there's 2 pages. I suggest getting all of these for future reference. And my goodness. So thank you so much to all our sources who are sending us information. And we want to thank Phil so much for the box of books.
Yes,
Look at
thank
how
you.
good condition that book is in.
Yeah.
Mine was like all falling apart and everything else. And it even had the question book in there. So thank you, Phil, very
Thank
much.
you.
And we want to thank everybody else so much for the cards, for our anniversary, and gifts and love and support and emails and comments and phone calls. We appreciate it so much. And welcome to all you new subscribers. We're about to hit 30,000. And like we keep saying, we couldn't do it without all of you. Oh, now before we sign off, I just want to mention, we had mentioned about a 12-year-old who had committed suicide. It was a 12-year-old JW, little guy, and his aunt is the one that had posted on Reddit, and she was really upset, and she had pictures of him, and someone sent me the link to her Facebook, and it looks like it is public. I didn't need an account to read it, but it was an update. People are calling her a liar. Yeah, they actually call her a liar. And I'm just going to read here the screenshot someone sent me. It says, after being called a liar, having people from all around the world calling me all sorts of names, to even the local JWs that know my family and knew my nephew, saying he died of his heart condition that he had had as a baby, and he had been given that all clear at the age of 3. And I feel so sorry for this woman, because it appears she's not a JW, and she had been shunned. But she says, I have had abuse not only on this status but also via PMs, all because they can't see what their cult does to people. So I have managed to contact my local coroner, and I now have the report into his death. Yes, I warn you, it's a hard read, but at least now I can clear my name. I am not a liar. I would not lie about something like this. So even the JWs in her local area are calling her a liar and say he died of a heart condition. On her Facebook, she has a copy of the coroner's report. It's very disturbing, and I just feel so sorry for this family. But then to turn around and call the aunt a liar is just so upsetting. He did go to the hospital, and they have him on life support. He hung himself. And like she says, it is a hard read. And the parents had to decide to take him off life support. But at the end, the cause of death, it's a long scientific medical term, but it means brain dead and from self-strangulation. So it was not his heart condition that he had had since a baby. He did commit suicide, and it has all of the details here of what had happened, and he was only 12 years old, and they have his name and everything else. So like I said, I'm going to put the link down below to this her post also, and I believe it was on Reddit also.
Yeah. It makes me wonder when Jehovah's Witnesses are going to stop calling everybody liars. It really makes me wonder when they're going to stop that bullshit, Jehovah's Witnesses, because every time you call someone a liar, there's 10 of us proving you absolutely wrong. Well, they don't get it. They'll never learn.
Well, someone sent me a link this morning to a website that is called Opposers Demythed, or Unmythed. And it's a JW, and they have everything that all of us activists have been saying in our videos, and they debunk it, as myth. And I love it, because right on the homepage, the first thing was, are we diminishing, or, are we, shrinking, or something like that? And they go through this whole thing, and it's like, I just started laughing, because they say they're selling Kingdom Halls so they can build new ones, who that are more efficient and all of this, and I'm like, oh, these poor JWs don't have a clue.
But here's the problem, friends. Like most Jehovah's Witnesses that have these little YouTube channels or whatever, they either prevent you from making comments, or they're going to have to authorize a comment first. So if you make a comment that they don't like, guess what? The rest of the world doesn't see it. How is that not information control? It's exactly what it is. That's one of the reasons why Kim and I don't really monitor our comment section, because we don't want to be accused of, well, you know, you only choose what comments that make you guys look good. Bullshit. But see, these Jehovah's Witnesses do that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is they don't realize that if your comment doesn't show up in our comment section, it means it's in our folder that YouTube has.
Right.
And I have to go in and manually approve these comments. Anything that has a link to anything that is questionable that YouTube would deem, you know, inappropriate, you know, and I try to empty as much as I can from that spam folder once a month. But I mean, it's just so much in there.
It would be an everyday chore.
Yeah, so, you know, if you don't see your comment, it's not that I have deleted it. It's in this spam folder on, you know, our YouTube dashboard, because they have like a dashboard and you can go in and, you know, and click on comments, and sometimes there's like 1,000, you know, comments in that spam folder. And, you know, when you click on approve, it doesn't approve all of them. It only approves the ones that are on the first page.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you don't see your comments, that's why.
Well, I just find it so funny how these JWs continuously accuse us of lying, when it's so easy to show that they're the ones that are absolutely misinformed.
Okay, so the website is called Opposers Dismissed. That's not even grammatically correct. Jehovah's Witnesses not in decline. Well, it's interesting because let the evidence speak. But you know how earlier we were talking about their hate, right? Against all of us? At the top, he has the scripture from Proverbs 11:9. By his mouth the apostate brings his neighbor to ruin, but by knowledge the righteous are rescued. So you can see the hate, you know, to begin with. But see, Watchtower has done this to the members.
Yep.
You know, this is what they indoctrinate everybody with. You hate apostates.
And guess what document they're using, friends? The inerrant Word of God.
Yeah.
See?
Yep. So, I mean, it's a website devoted entirely to proving Jehovah's Witnesses have the truth and they're not lying. It's us apostates lying. So you can see the hate. But it's interesting because it says, you know, suggestion box or ask a question. So I asked him a question. I asked him about the 1983 yearbook and Australia's Bethel branch neutrality. And I said, it's on jw.org. And I said, Watchtower doesn't want to answer any of these questions, so what do you say? So I sent him all the information and said, you know, I went digging, and in the 1947 Watchtower, where they admit they were not politically or militarily neutral, that they were actually supporting the war effort. And it's funny, because after I got done with my comment, it said, your comment has to be approved before it will show up. So they have to approve every single comment. So information control.
Yep. Anybody want to bet that Kim's comment doesn't come up? Because
No.
see, here's the issue that Watchtower is facing right now. And those of us ex-JWs, we've already figured out what we need to do. All you have to do is say, Jehovah's Witnesses, go to jw.org library. It's still there. It's still on their website. That's all we're going to do is flood every one of our videos encouraging Jehovah's Witnesses, go to jw.org in the library and you'll see what your organization is. It's all right there.
Well, see, this is why they only have watchtowers back to 1950, because they know those during the war era condemn them.
That's right. And I'm almost willing to bet that by year's end, that 1983 yearbook's going to be gone.
Or edited.
Yeah, or edited, exactly.
Yeah.
Because, see, that's all we got to do, because we all know Watchtower's watching these videos, so just keep plugging it. Go to jw.org, Jehovah's Witnesses. This information is still there. We're not the ones lying.
Yeah.
We're not lying.
Exactly. All right, now I want to mention XJW Smurf Girl. She did a video about a month ago about martyrs. And we actually might add to her videos that she is doing, but it looks like she has done 3 parts so far, but she put one up 2 days ago, and I'm going to put the link down below to her channel. I really recommend you go watch these videos about Jehovah's Witnesses being martyrs, because like she brings out in the 1950 Watchtower, the word martyr means witnesses. Witness. Yeah. I never knew that.
It's right there in Watchtower literature.
Yeah, I never knew that. And so, great job, sweetie. But I recommend going watching this. And oh boy, Watchtower and the Jehovah's Witnesses are going to have an aneurysm over this one.
Well, and there again, you know, I had done a previous video where I've acknowledged some of these strong women doing these videos. And I owe Smurf Girl an apology because I neglected to mention her, because she is also another one of these ex-Jehovah Witness women. Strong women doing these videos. It's not just... Because see, what you have to recognize, friends, everything that we do against Watchtower is actually against a lot of Christianity and what a lot of Christianity teaches, because it's all one and the same. When Watchtower, you know, or when the Bible puts the words in Jesus' mouth, you know, pick up your cross and follow me continuously. You know, if you don't pick up your cross, you're not worthy of me. You're all expected to die a martyr's death. You're all expected. So why do you whine and cry about the persecution complex? Your own holy Bible tells you what to expect. It's all right in front of you.
So she did say, you know, for us to add to it, and so we are doing some research on some stuff that she didn't cover, and in some of the older literature, and on that very thing is every single Christian should be happy the persecution that they receive, because then they're worthy of Jesus and the martyr's death.
Exactly, and you just have to realize that if you don't have that martyr's death like Jesus, if you don't pick up your torture stake or your torture cross like Jesus and die that martyr's death, well, you just may not get to heaven, because that's what a lot of all of this is about, if you really know what to look for.
Yeah. So interesting information, and it's actually quite deep. You know,
Well,
it may appear like it's just a surface thing, but it actually goes quite deep and into a lot of the ancient secret mysteries and the rituals and stuff.
Well, I'll give you guys just a little bit of a teaser. Little bit of a teaser with all of this research. Don't be surprised if the pagan god Dagon is thrown into all of this. You know, the fish god. Don't be surprised if Dagon shows up in the mythology of Jesus, because I've already got it.
That's a spoiler alert.
I know it is. I know it is.
So thank you so much, everybody, for watching and for everything. We appreciate it so much. And we hope you have a wonderful week.
Bye.
Bye.